We are back. We are in game one of Jonah versus Baked.
Yeah, we just saw a really exciting set. We lock his spot in top four and therefore his spot in the Invitational later this year. We see a set between Baked and Jono. Something that we actually saw, I believe, in round two or three.
Right,
Team of Rayquaza, Lunala, Mantike, Perugly, Ditto, and Regice. And Jono running a team of Kangaskhan, Crobat, Lunala, Xerneas, Incineroar, and Tapu Fini.
right. Both these teams are pretty interesting. I think the more interesting side is actually Bakes because we actually saw Bakes' team earlier today. While they just went for just a ton of speed ties, which are like, yeah. But we actually see a taunt go into Lunala and a side shot go onto Kangaskhan. So we kind of know that he probably most likely has a Z move, or not Z move, but a Moongeist Beam on Lunala, and we also know he's Side Shock. But the question is, does he have Tailwind, and does he have things that counteract Crobat's moves? So
Right. And so this time around, Jono playing around any potential Lunala speed ties and making sure that his Lunala comes in, threatening his the opposing Lunala. And of course, that was the crucial in the process, losing his Kangaskhan. Um, this time, Jono just brings in his Xerneas and takes the free KO onto Lunala.
right now, the what's it called? Now that Xerneas is just in a free position to just set up Geomancy and just kind of sweep through this game, he might actually bring out Regice like he did in the earlier rounds, where Regice gets just kind of what's it called? He went for moves and it did stuff, and like Icy Wind, for example, it went for. I know one time it went for an Icy Wind, which was super crucial for one of those games whenever he didn't lose the Lunala Speed Type turn one, but he actually brings out a Rayquaza right now. So the question is like, what does the Rayquaza go for in this situation? Does he try to kill Lunala, or does he try to get damage off his Xerneas? Because Xerneas is probably gonna is most likely gonna Geomancy, but the question is, does Bake call the fact that he's not gonna Geomancy, or does he call the fact that
Right.
yeah.
And we see him switch out to Ditto, worried about the Moonblast. We don't know the Rayquaza set.
Whoa, we actually
Just
see
going
Defiant
straight
coming out. That's cool.
for a Moonblast, not worried about the Rayquaza at all, and Edmund just to Oko the Perugly after a little bit of chip from Icy Wind.
Right. Now now Jonah's just in a super good position to win this game just because he has a Lunala on the other side of the field, even though it's Ditto, but it's still at minus speed, and it has its thing shipped.
Right.
So he could just go for a Moongeist Beam and be totally fine. And the Xerneas didn't even realistically have to go for Geomancy. He can just kind of, even though he did, he could just kind of sit there with his thing on the field and just Moonblast
Right.
it. So
And we see how little damage that the Dragon Descent does to Xerneas. It very clearly is a bulky Xerneas. For Dragon Descent like a champ.
right, which yeah, let's go on to game two now. With Jonah winning that game, uh, how how Big could adjust to this? He can adjust to this if uh let's see. It's actually kind of tough to see how he can adjust to this. Um,
Right, he's got an awkward matchup here. He brought Ditto in this game, whereas he didn't bring it in the previous set. Key because if Jono does choose to set up his Xerneas, then um, baked Xerneas, which is actually Ditto, could put a lot of pressure on Jono's team.
right, as we see, he goes. I'm pretty sure the same lead as last time, right? I feel. Yeah.
Right, and so this is what Baked led in all five games that we've seen of these two players going at it.
Huh.
Just like last time, he goes for the fake out and Psyshock into the Kangaskhan, while Jono sets up.
But this time he actually goes for a tailwind into he goes for a tailwind and not opting to go for a taunt, which is it's still pretty good for Jono. Jono could probably use double edge on Kangaskhan and into that Progly probably Oko it. And he could also which he does go for the taunt, and he does go for the double edge, which it actually doesn't kill. I was kind of surprised. I thought that would kill, but now Jono's in a super good spot just because the Lunala can come in and just Z move into his Lunala, and since it doesn't since it's taunted, it can't protect. So
right. And
yeah.
the Regice brings to this matchup, the only move we saw was Icy Wind. It would be useful if there was no Tailwind up. They switch into his Ditto, which transforms into a Lunala. He gets knocked out by the Z move from the opposing Lunala.
Or Ditto in that case. Yeah. And now he brings in another Lunala. I've seen 3 Lunalas this game.
It's worth noting that does not always Oko opposing Lunala through Shadow Shield. I believe that if they run Modest, they will, but in this case, most are max speed timid. And if Big Test Protect, he actually can keep the speed control. We just see Jono doubling into the Regice, and the Regice takes so little from that Moongeist beam.
Whoa.
Hit with Frost Breath, which is guaranteed to crit.
Wait, is that
and gets the double.
Lunala?
Is that Scarf Lunala? That might be Scarf Lunala.
No, wait. It's just really slow Xerneas? I'm confused.
No, I think it's just slower Xerneas, because we saw that it was really bulky.
Okay. Yeah, that was
set, and of course Frost Breath.
Yeah.
See the utility of that, hitting Xerneas through its boosts and getting that KO and 3.
Right. Okay. On to game 3. So Progly putting in work. So it's Regice. Surprisingly. I mean, after all, they are in top 8, and they only need one more to qualify for the Invitational. So.
Right, and as we said, as I mentioned in the first time we streamed this set, Regice has a base 200 special defense stat, and it took so little from that Moongeist beam. It took around 20% damage from that Moongeist beam, which makes it an effective way of dealing with all these special attackers that Jono has on his team. Right.
I'm wondering why. I'm wondering what kind of adjustments Jono can make in order to win this set. Because if he leads the same thing, right, then he could just, instead of bringing in Lunala that turn, he can bring in Zern instead of a Geomancy, which might be easier to say the least in the end game, so that the Zern should just kind of sweep like it did the first game. But looking at Big side, I'm wondering how you can stop that.
Seems like his answers to opposing Xerneas are Ditto and with Regice while tanking attacks, which is a very interesting way and potentially a Man-type, because I know it gets Haze and it's very specially bulky as well, although he hasn't brought it yet.
Yeah. He's only brought these 4 Mons throughout the entirety of it, except for Ditto. These are the first 2 times we've ever saw Ditto, which is interesting. And he actually predicts a fake out onto Kangaskhan, and he switches in his Lunala way, sets up a Tailwind with Crobat. Now the Crobat's in a super good position right now, because what he can do is that he can try to go for a Z move on the Lunala, but turns out Super Fang missing as he predicts a switch out, which is sort of bad, but. Yeah,
Super Fang missing meant that instead of being at 10 or 15% health, this Regice is at 60% health and really not taking damage from many things. I'm curious to see how much Psyshock would do to it, but of course has a knockoff, and while Lunala doesn't have an item, it is 4x weak to it and no longer has a Shadow Shield. And of course, we see Quick Attack.
Oh, we see quick attack. Okay, we see quick attack Pro Ugly and wide guard on or not wide guard. We see what's that move? Icy Wind on Lunala, which most Lunala actually don't opt to run anymore. Maybe he doesn't have Tailwind on Lunala, as he hasn't even revealed it at all this set. I don't think. Maybe he has.
Right?
I don't know.
I think that makes sense just because he has such a reliable Tailwind with Crobat. Instead opting for the Icy Wind, yeah, missed his Icy Wind from Reggie Ice, which might make a big difference once Tailwind expires, because now all of a sudden his Lunala is not guaranteed to outspeed the opposing Lunala.
Right, but now Jonah's kind of in a bad position because he can't reliably kill Regice and Proglet at the same time. Although, does his Lunala have Side Shock? Actually...
Side Shock and Double Edge would KO both.
Right, do we know that Side Shock kills Proglet at this range?
I think that in game 1, we saw it take at least 80% from a Side Shock, around 80% from a Side Shock.
That's different then. So actually...
You see the fake out, and we see the Moon Guys Beam covering for a potential Lunala switch. But instead, the substitute for Ruggly...
Oh my goodness.
Eliminates the Kangaskhan.
Wait, so... Okay, now Jono may be in a slight upper hand, because now Progly has to recharge. So what Jono can do is that he can... Oh, he does have Tailwind.
Well, and we do see Tailwind, and we see a Dazzling Gleam do so much damage to that Progly, as well as finishing off the Reggie Ice, bringing Bake down to his Lunala and the mysterious last Pokemon that we have not seen yet.
Right. I'm wondering if it's going to be a Xerneas, or not a Xerneas. I'm wondering if it's going to be a Ditto, or if it's going to be a Rayquaza in this situation. I feel like...
Interestingly enough, I think that the Pokemon that wins the game for him is Mantike, because it can set up Tailwind and it can haze away Xerneas' boost if it chooses to set up.
Yeah, but what is... That makes sense, but my question is, like, what does Mantike do in return, realistically? Because, yeah, he has Tailwind, but doesn't a double up? I don't know. A double up could potentially kill it. Now we have 3 Lunalas on the field. Man.
3 Lunala.
3 Lunalas, 4 bats in the game? Man. Who knew? Huh.
I see this every day.
Yeah, right.
Now Jono's Lunala is going to have to pick Icy Wind and just slow down both of these, or if it wants to try to KO one, the Ditto, which is the one that's guaranteed.
Okay, wow.
The Xerneas. Yeah, so because Ditto keeps its HP stat, it is guaranteed to kill Lunala through Shadow Shield while not being guaranteed to KO the other one.
Okay.
And we see Big play for a freeze with Ice Beam, Oko the Lunala, and with once Xerneas set up, and Blast and win the game.
Right. Okay, so good play. Congrats to Jono for making the Invitational. Don't go away. We'll be right back for some more Invitational qualifier matches.